The Tale of the Partridge. Once upon a time there was a child who lost his father when he was young. After a period of mourning, the mother also got married. Because there were no other relatives left, he had to follow his mother to live with his stepfather. The stepfather was very abusive, treating both mother and child as servants. Especially the boy didn't know what to do, so he hated him even more. Many times when he did something against his will, he beat the boy until his whole body was bruised. His home is also nothing. He often makes a living by going to the forest to cut firewood. The woman had just returned to him one day and had to carry her husband's firewood to sell at the market. Unfortunately, that year the harvest was poor. Finding food is very difficult. Firewood is dirt cheap. In the past, a load of firewood could feed a family for a few days, but now it is not enough to feed a single meal. The boy has not been able to do anything, and has become a thorn in his stepfather's eyes. This boy only eats and pisses himself to death. It only makes things more difficult for me. He told his wife that and advised her to sell the child to someone else to raise. But the woman refused. It would be better for both mother and child to die, but she would never leave her child. The stepfather then intended to kill his wife's stepchild. Human life at this time is as small as a hair. What's more, he doesn't care about anything to him. The famine seems to be lasting longer and becoming more intense. A large load of firewood now cannot be exchanged for a bowl of rice. That day, waiting for his wife to go to the market early, he took the boy to the forest. He invited, "Do you want to climb guavas and catch butterflies?" Up there, the boy was very pleased to hear that and tried to ask to follow him. The forest scene had many strange things that made the boy tirelessly run after his stepfather. The man took it into the deep forest. When he arrived at the wild guava trees, he told the boy, "That's guava. And here is a bowl of rice. I'll look again later." Then he left the boy, quietly retreated, and went to another place to look for firewood. But in the afternoon, when he entered the house, he was surprised to see that the boy had returned before him. Luckily, while the boy was alone in the middle of the jungle, he was lucky enough to meet a group of people digging for yams. So they brought it back. Thanks to the bowl of rice, he still had enough strength to walk to the house. Listening to the child's story, he was extremely annoyed. He pretended to scold, "Just because of you, I couldn't find him." Another time he coaxed the child to follow him into the forest. This time he tried to take it deep, to places where no one had ever dared to go and pick firewood. When escaping from the boy, he thought to himself, "If you don't die from wild animals, you will die from peanuts. If you don't die from peanuts, you will die from hunger." Until late in the evening, his stepfather still did not return, so the boy cried. Cried and cried, but only the echoes of the mountains and forests answered it. It frantically ran in every direction but could not see a single person. When he was exhausted and hungry, he went to the bowl of rice left by his stepfather, but unexpectedly it was a bowl of sand sprinkled with a layer of rice and an eggplant to deceive. The boy picked up the grains of rice, dusted the sand and put them in his mouth. Finally, he was so hungry that he took the bowl and ran everywhere shouting, "Stepfather! Bowl of eggplant sand! Bowl of eggplant sand!" But his screams only startled a few wild birds. Then the boy died and turned into a partridge, always calling out, "A bowl of eggplant sand." a bowl of eggplant sand. Waited forever. Not seeing her child return, the woman cried endlessly. Guessing that her brutal husband had murdered her child, she stood up and scolded him in the face. In the end, she forced him to go get his son back immediately, otherwise she would report him to the judge. In times of trouble, he had to go into the forest. He searched forever. Suddenly, a few voices rang out in the remote forest. A bowl of sand and an eggplant. A bowl of sand and an eggplant. He fell apart. It was precisely the unjust soul of the boy who spoke up to expose his crime. Hearing several consecutive sounds, he no longer had any soul left and quickly ran away. But the words, "a bowl of sand and eggplant," chased after him. He ran forever, passing from one forest to another. Suddenly he tripped over a rock and fell unconscious. A few days later, the woodcutters found his body lying at the edge of the forest. 1. Discovery: there are two versions of this story circulating in the South. A. In a hungry year, a man asked his son-in-law for some rice to eat. When he arrived, the bridegroom was away, only his daughter was at home. But when a daughter becomes rich, she forgets her father. Give dad a cash, flat grain, with a little rice sprinkled on it. Dad left along the way to meet the bridegroom. The kind-hearted son-in-law gave his wife a bag of grain for his father. Knowing the truth, he took his father home to get him a bag of rice, and while angry, he beat his wife with a wasp. Unfortunately, she died. The wife turned into a partridge, constantly calling out, "How to sing, pick and write, or flatten, for father." 2. B. There was a couple, one of whom collected firewood, and gave birth to a son named Dada. When I was 7 years old, my mother passed away. Dad's stepwife treated her husband's son poorly and always caused trouble and scolded him. One day, Dad came home from collecting firewood and saw his son crying in front of a full bowl of rice. Dad was about to ask his son, but his stepmother ran out and begged her husband to teach him, lest he be humiliated and unable to bear it. Dad was so angry that he was ready with an axe to hit his son, but unexpectedly he cut off his head around the face and he fell dead. During the opening the tomb ceremony, a bird suddenly flew out from the tomb and cried out, "Return the bowl of rice and sand to father, pay off the head, silver money." Dad came back to look for the bowl of rice my stepmother gave me, only to find that it was a bowl of sand with only a little rice on top. So angry, his father gave his wife an axe to kill her. It is said that today the lineage of partridges has a black line from the eye to the ear that is the mark of an axe slash. The feathers on its body are traces of the stepmother's horizontal and vertical whips. 3. There are also people, 4, who call the partridge's cry, "No real coc chujia," which means not eating home-grown rice. Joe. They believe this bird is the reincarnation of Ba Di and Thuk Te. It is a story told by a Confucian scholar according to Chinese classics. 5. See more stories. 1. According to Genebril. Ancient stories have just been printed for the first time, and are based on the stories of Northerners. 2. According to the stories of Qionghai people. 3. According to Le Van Phat. Books cited. 4. According to the stories of Ha Tin, Vin Phu and Southern people. 5. Ba Di and Thuk Tay were the sons of the king of Ko Truk during the Shang dynasty. When his father was about to die, he asked his younger brother, Thuk Tay, to become king. When his father died, Thuk Tay gave it to Ba Di. Ba Di refused, saying it was his father's order, then ran away. Thuk Tay also did not become king but went into hiding. When Vu Vu Vong Chu attacked the Shang dynasty, Ba Di took the road to intervene. Unable to resist, he said that from now on, he would no longer eat rice from the Chu dynasty. Both brothers went into hiding at Tuduang Mountain and starved to death. Tu Hai. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.